Hi everyone, it's Gina K from Gina K Designs and your host of Stamp TV, and I'm back with another Merry Bright StampTV Kit card project. Today I'm going to show you a very simple card project that uses some gold embossing powder and a very simple layout that's easy to reproduce and mass produce for the holidays. Let me show you the tools and products you need for this card project. First, you're going to need some cardstock, and the cardstock that I'm going to use is some of the Gina K Designs red velvet cardstock. I also have some of our white cardstock, and I have some of our Christmas pine cardstock. Now, the Christmas pine isn't in the StampTV kit, but you can substitute the grass green and get a similar look. Or you might want to try the turquoise sea too. Then I'm going to use some VersaMark ink and some of the fine detail gold embossing powder. I'm also going to use the embossing magic pad. For stamps, I'm going to use the Merry Bright set, and I'm going to be using the holly leaves. And then for one of my projects I'll show you, I use the Have a Holly Jolly Christmas. For the one I'm going to demonstrate, I'm going to use the We Wish You a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And then I added a little bit of bling onto my card using the 28 Lilac Lane from Buttons Galore, and I will link this. We don't carry this in our store, but I'll link any of the products that we don't carry so that you can find them easily. Okay, so I'm going to start with this piece of red cardstock, and I'm going to use the embossing magic pad all over the surface. Then I'm going to grab the holly leaves stamp out of here, and I'm going to stick that onto my acrylic block. And I'm going to grab some of this VersaMark ink, and I'm going to ink this stamp up real well. And I like to start right in the middle, because then I know that I've got one good full impression. And then I'm going to randomly add this stamp all around in different directions. You can see what I'm doing here. It might be hard for you to see, but you might be able to see a little bit of that shadow coming through. All right, and I'm turning my stamp as I go so it doesn't look like too much of a pattern. See here, we'll go with this over on this side, and we'll do this right over here. Okay, so now I'm going to grab some of my embossing powder. I'm going to use the fine detail gold for this, and I'm going to sprinkle that all over the surface of what I just stamped. So there we go. And let me move this out of the way, and I'm going to grab my heat tool. I'm going to heat up my heat tool for just a minute beforehand, and I'm just going to use this clothespin to hold this down while I emboss it. By heating up my heat tool for just a couple seconds beforehand, it makes it a little bit hotter and the cardstock is less apt to warp. So there we go. So I have all of that beautiful embossing. And if you find a spot like that you feel like it just needs something more, don't be afraid to go back, ink up the stamp, throw something in that little spot, dip it in your embossing powder, and heat it. Felt like it needed something there. So that, to me, that makes all the difference. Probably doesn't bother some people, but for me, that really bothered me. Okay, so now that we have this piece is going to get layered onto this panel. So I'm going to do that with some of my Thermoweb Sticky Dot tape runner. Let's see here. That is very sticky today. All right. Okay. And then I'm going to layer these 3 layers together right away. But I'm not going to put that one on yet, and I'll show you why. So this is going to go onto my white piece, and then the white piece is going to go onto the red velvet card base. Okay, so now I'm going to get that same embossing magic pad all over this card base, and then I'm going to grab my Misti. So I'm going to lay this card base into my Misti, and then I'm going to grab the greeting, that big greeting that I want to use, and I want to make sure that I have room for this. I think I'm going to move that down just a hair. You know what? I think I'm going to trim this. I'm going to trim this down a little bit. So let me grab my paper cutter. Boy, talk about live. This is really live. All right. I'm going to take that down to 1.5 inches. There we go. And then I'm going to take that down to 1 5/8 inches. All right. That's going to be better because this is a big greeting. And I'm going to put those back together again, like that. And now I can move that down a little bit and have a little bit more room for my greeting. Okay, so now I'm going to take this away because I know where it's going to lay. And see, that's why I didn't want to stick that on right away, because I wanted to make sure, just pulling the glue off there, I wanted to make sure I still had a little bit of room left, and it looked like I didn't, so now it looks like I'm going to. So now I have that all lined up straight, and I'm going to pick this up with my Misti. I'm going to remove that. Then I'm going to ink this up using some VersaMark ink. And I'm going to stamp that onto my card base. I'm calling this my card base, but you know what I mean, all these layers. And now, I'm going to see, maybe I'm going to give that another little bit of VersaMark ink. And as long as that's tucked down into this bottom corner here, that should still be just fine. Okay, looking good. All right, so now I'm going to emboss this using the gold embossing powder. There we go. Get this out of the way and emboss. Oh, that's nice and bright. I like that. Okay, so now I'm going to put this little accent piece right down here at the bottom. Just let a little bit of that green show. And there is my finished card project. Now let me show you the one I did with the Holly Jolly Christmas, where I used the little sequins. So for this one, I just added the greeting off to the side and added a few little sequins to add some sparkle. So there's two different versions of that card using two different greeting stamp sets from the Merry Bright stamp set. I hope you've enjoyed today's Stamp TV video. Stay tuned to Stamp TV for more card projects, and thanks so much for watching.